share no sia boy mamunyina mo adjo Sompa TV sunie anma no sia ka se boy ya boaboa no na bra na so ya de baba somo ka se boy free ha e be twa no ho na fa be front interfidie no so www.sompaonline.com okwa benya bi no wakenkan afei Facebook no ya Sompa 93.1 and na YouTube no aya Sompa TV anansa modo de ba ne de makote no bi enie Mampanyi na danko akufo de atudwa wose na mabafo nim de akwa so aboa pa amene technology ba yin kata shaproye ne dwum de kankan eto atimi ate sanso na attorney general yero Godfrey de aboa dame de atudwa se O my Ghana a lawyer for modern Galamse won sensem no Eripa basa ha wotwe aduonum 850 and a one mujina mara no ye mara ene one mudi sanso na Ghana mampani abedieche Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia ne mpanyifo ahodo bia wamwo wamanyoko nkayamu no wamodo mokrata akwa Electoral Commission ye kyerasa fi so ewosa Ghana fo ato won so aba na andisi amanyoko rekyekena ni Oro Johnson asieru ketia de atojo wasenu ama ahodo bia ekoso ewo voter registering wo no andi si amanyoko ne bonyoso ya anchakora won betia simontel so no ayo ye kire ade atia Electoral Commission wani nsem ahodo bia de Canada tie ya bobo ne nyina no de basomo sanme no nsia kasebo ensem yu pebi no wakenkan ya wobakọ www.sompaonline.com ko abenya bi no wakenkan afaya force dama nyumakuo yi mezo ano 5G atayechi na so pesa wotu kwan no nya akwatu mafutu samua aya express group ya de woko 3 herbal center the 3 core capsules Kwakwa master draw no atayechi bi and at 21st clinic was where a sciatica expert ya anya simkuma when nyumakuo ne nkaye bi abrepam yare one me nyina won sampa ne sam daba to gya na me amatena se baken kamisem yikroje adiama wo ayeme akosia aje wa kwade aboaten afei ansam no ne nkyeremu ankasa enie Ghana Bar Association a lawyer for nkabomukuo ye wo ma Ghana mu one ma fe bia hyamude ya wo ye de dwondwone ho sa enioma hodo ya won mo ye de kwa ache wache ye wo so mo dane won mo nsa ana enioma de mpuntu obra won mo nyina no afa wadi akoso awasantemantem kropon kumase na ebrojumade no koso no wotonsa arefra panyimfo aketero ne ene ntiri won mo a Yaso mabodo samtu adonko ye nyina da mo mbeta kira na Ghana mampanyi na danko akufoto wono so eka ho bi na ebere kopie mu odwumade no wase no na wo kire se nyame no kwasem ni wo mai kata hye proye dwumde kankan abra betena konya soro nya se wo ka de atu ne ho nanso ade eka ne se abafu nimde kwa so nyame no kwasem ni technology no ababo ma Ghana pa wo se aboa menei kata hye sene na kane ne ehunwo enkrofo kora de pepa sam no mde bu o man ne fa so no sa ne o man nyina to yetwa na wonka nkwa kire kora fimpimienu ne aduonu miensa 2023 nimwo no Auditor General report ya wo mde pie dwano de pefe sanyame no kwasem ni ene katanse eso ate papa Ghana sika bia mra bia atwa na hwere ye kwa no sa ne o man nyina no ye hunu to ye hunu ase masa kenten no a ye de konsu a na enwuru gu no ye so so nyina ta e wo fam.
The use of technology has been pivotal in our efforts to combat corruption. We have introduced digital platforms for public procurement processes, reducing human intervention and minimizing the opportunities for corrupt practices. These platforms have increased transparency, efficiency, and competitiveness in public procurement, ensuring that public resources are used judiciously for the benefit of all Ghanaians. The Auditor General's report for 2023, for example, revealed a significant decline in financial irregularities within the public sector, dropping by 5.2 billion cedis from the previous year, a 32% reduction. Furthermore, we have worked to reform our legal and regulatory framework to enhance transparency and accountability. We've strengthened the right to information, ensuring that Ghanaians have the tools they need to hold their government accountable. The passage of the Right to Information Act which preceding administration had failed to accomplish, was an important milestone in this regard, providing citizens with the power to demand transparency for their leaders. By the same token, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill has passed the scrutiny of the Cabinet Committee on Governance.
And what you know about Nimpa, Sir Amanyokwane Binom Nenam Kuntuna Sepasa Mupam Cabanas Leti, Ada Shanwa Wabra. As I said to the cabano crampon Yanadia, was sitting in Anwakwa, say, as NDC Amanyokuno, one person look at Ashana Proyebituna so, no the go on who fee we actually become a busia, never become a banya what was Sadi in Yanata, Entesa.
In spite of scrutiny by credible public institutions of virtually all these allegations of misconduct on the part of my government, my family, and myself, which have been found to be baseless, the leader of the opposition, the perennial NDC presidential candidate, continues to describe me as a clearing agent. It is important that I reiterate that I will not abandon under any circumstance recourse to due process in the fight against corruption. Be that as it may, in any event, I will leave it to the Ghanaian public and people. I will leave to the judgment of the Ghanaian public and people to decide whether it is preferable to be a clearing agent or government official one. Our commitment to the rule of law has also been evident in our approach to law enforcement. We have worked to ensure that our security agencies operate within the confines of the law, respecting the rights of all citizens. Human rights abuses, which were all too common in our past, have no place in a democratic Ghana. We have established mechanisms to ensure that those who abuse their power are held accountable.
I was only a turn and carry a Ghana man penny, not a dankwa ekufuatu. I was such media chrono siano. Attorney General by lawyer Penny, or when you forgot for the award damage to dry at your say. So what shall my Ghana about somewhere fear pim? I have could your economy no 1992 Abapum Sasano was so my lawyer for one did you Sompa. I want my Ghana Muyanya Semketwama. Now was Shakrapo of Impimi and Nidumi in 2012. I brought my Ghana to a berry chile. Now Manokoni Binoyasa 1 month or more Sitabra Samno, Adequate Court no. Was say our my Ghana lawyer for boy, and a cow be map and chairman Tamawasi Biata, Uncle so my Ghana mu. Ebium, Sawasha Fimpimi and Unia Duno 2020 aba. Wama Ghana ya 2 yana no so Manokoni Binom, as I tabri the court to Chilasa 1 month Yasianwa. Was a when you know daddy prefers or my Ghana, a lawyer for ya womuno, Wama Buapa, Ama Kemami Kebino, Ekoso.
Since the inception of the Constitution in 1992. It bears emphasizing, I'll say the inception of the Constitution in 1983, because legally it started on 7 January 1993. It bears emphasizing that an election is a process, among other things. It includes the demarcation of boundaries, registration of eligible voters, the creation of voters register, printing of ballot papers, distribution of ballot papers to voting centers, supervision of voting, the casting of votes, counting and progress, processing of the votes, the declaration of the winner or winners. So far, I have not noticed anything untoward of the Electoral Commission's handling of the process. Even though Ghana has come far in consolidating democracy as a way of life, we can consider free and fair elections in this country as a matter of course. We cannot take that progress for granted. For this reason, we continue to talk about these things as a way of entrenching those undoubted values we hold dear and warding off potential wreckers of the peace of the nation. We must steadfastly resist the dishonorable deeds of those who, without cause, sow seeds of doubt in the ability of the Electoral Commission to organize a credible election. We must deplore, jettison, and without any reservation, reject rhetoric which fans the flames of conflict.
And watch no Chief Justice your Ghana Madam Gertrude Tokono so kasa kakra etro se Ghana Bar Association lawyer for Kabomuko no monhwe se wobden see na nweta so no kwaredie ebeye adwuma.
Top experience for me following the passage of the responsibility of Chief Justice to me in June 2023. Assuredly, God has been with me through this first year in office. I have experienced the grace of good health, sound mind, and the cooperation of the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, the bar, and the good people of Ghana. I am extremely grateful and can only say it in what must be two of the most impactful yet simplest words known to human vocabulary. Thank you. Your Excellency, Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this year's Bar Conference, Peaceful, Fair and Transparent Elections, in accordance with a statutory framework. Equally, there are settled legal norms for determining any disputes arising therefrom. This requires that stakeholders come to the electoral process with full recognition and appreciation of the legal regimes surrounding it. Who qualifies to stand as a candidate? What makes a vote valid or invalid?
I was your Madam Gertrude Anna Yaten Kanatoko no Chief Justice Ewo Omeyimu. Yatwa and some no asona wajumadia kronoa siano. Anna ora kwa Freddy Abuadame abalo ya panyini deba to dwa atros se wo hwemu panoa. Eno ni papi no ano tumi de aban no kokoto. Afeyas ya woka na nkrofo amama so ne mu sansam. Ghana ye boka ne ye fa plane ne ade. Wasasa ade ne nyina no. Wada wonkrata asem kwa akoma cabinet no matena se asi hunkonya no mawasa bibi etesa no yebede ho asem e wo ma Ghana musansa Ghana nkasa ye wa lawyer for kuku dama obetumi abo mai.
For the passage into law, an amendment to the State Property and Contracts Act of 1960 CA4 to mandate all contracts involving the state and its agencies as parties to not only stipulate Ghana law as a governing law, but also to have Ghana as a seat of arbitration, and with the ADR Center in Ghana being the venue for such arbitration. With this amendment, the practice whereby the state and Ghanaian lawyers travel to various jurisdictions, Paris, New York, Singapore, and London, etc., for the conduct of arbitration, although enjoyable for the lawyers, will come to an end. An important piece of legislation introduced recently, which seeks to reduce unnecessary costs to the taxpayer, is the Contract Amendment Act 2023 at 1114, by which public officers are prohibited from entering into a contract on behalf of the state in which the rate of interest is stipulated as commercial interest. By Act 1114, it is expected that contracts with high rates of interest, especially compound interest, which result in huge judgment debts and financial loss to the state, as occurred in the NDK Financial Services Limited against the Atendra matter a few years ago, will be avoided. The criminal landscape of our country also witnessed some reform by an effort to ease congestion in the courts and prisons through the passage of the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Amendment Act 2022 at 1079, which formally introduced plea bargaining into a criminal jurisprudence of the country.
I was on your turn and carry a year about lawyer Panini or a Godfred Yabuatame. Yagoswata, I wore a lawyer from Kabamuku, and no one will share with dear Wadoya Kwaswa. What on Sarah from Panyufok Kudam, I wore my moon. Now, President Adama Ghana Bar Association, or a Yabuafu, one also Akasai, and I watch us and Pampi no. I am only Papi no Junior Warmasa. Sakabasa, we are lawyer Nina, could you know the party A and as a party beer. Nasa Sabio sa party no, a one na wo. Now was a Sadian in no, and Yadia Tessa, Nemo no yo majuma. And the Parababa Fanon Quadia was walk on walk away. Now, I cannot dear Chira Ghana for you say, wɔma Ghana lawyer for no mu gina brane pa se konkoma ni agyan afei asɛmba so mu gina mfimfini wɔma hwɛ so nkɔ akɔgina party A anasa party B achi enti sɛ dia na ɔmanfo bi mu hu wɔm no ɛnte saa afei wɔn mo hyɛ body second tam sɛ dia Ghana fo hwɛ no wɔn bɛyɛ adi ama wɔm.
The Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, has also since his election as Speaker met the leadership of the GBA every year and always invites us to send representation and comments to Parliament on very important matters of state. I want to reiterate that the GBA has never, is not, and shall never be an appendage of any political party. It has never happened, it is not happening, and we must ensure that it never happens in the future. As lawyers, it is part of our training and practice to promote dialogue. The effective use of dialogue to resolve disputes is expressed through means such as mediation and negotiation. Many a lawyer can attest to the effectiveness and utility of dialogues between parties in resolving otherwise complicated and thorny issues between parties. Yet again, dialogue in its pristine form was evident in our country in the work of the Committee of Eminent Chiefs, headed by the Asantehene, appointed to mediate and resolve the protracted Dagbon crisis dispute of many years. The eminent chiefs finally succeeded to resolve the chieftaincy dispute, mainly through dialogue, which culminated in the installation of a new Yana for Dagbon.
And what you know, and what about to judge us and Nekata Shanaproye? Jim Diana can so ye no crampoton chanya galam se won sansam Hagana my pa was yaka will be a man and so and sasse yakwa bretu no nyoma wodo odoma nkoma dodom ye ne nyinata essay anam say sunti no besere abanya woteso se womo no homoden no nkeka ne ho na won mo mutu galam se no a ebim kura wona ban mu no wo so obetuom so sa.
Some recent reported visit by some popular journalists in Ghana to some of our major rivers with accompanying pictorial and video evidence show that these major rivers across the country have been polluted, showing impunity and lawlessness of those actively destroying our lands and rivers and their equally shameless financiers. Despite the efforts and assurance of government to deal with the menace, there appears to be a consensus that not much has been done to effectively and roundly deal with it. To be blunt, things are getting worse. As an issue which poses an existentialist threat to our nation so severe that His Excellency the President put his presidency on the line, unfortunately has degenerated into a political football match between the major political parties as to who polluted the water the most. It was quite shocking and most regrettable when a member of the leadership of Parliament on the floor of Parliament stated that the minority party during this period in government polluted the waters of Ghana more than the ruling party. Such a irresponsible statement by a member of Parliament is symptomatic of the malaise affecting our dear nation. Every issue must be reduced to partisan point scoring while our nations bleeds dry. It reveals an uncaring political elite only interested in holding lofty positions in government. The anecdotal evidence that Galamsey is controlled by powerful interests in Ghana cannot be ignored. The state must be honest and deal with the real powers behind this menace. We cannot deal with Galamsey by organizing public fora and making noise on our airways. We will be playing the ostrich without future if we pretend as we are now. The government must be honest and bold and fish out this evil access of powerful interests in a wanton destruction of our environment and deal with them decisively, irrespective of the status of the individuals involved.
I was your president at the Ghana Bar Association or Yao, Boafo, and Yatson Cano. Now, I'm watching you are go for your board dame at was so a chiremuse. So Shamopa no Sagalam se Semiano. Ghana Barnum so a manipano how much at your noom 850 and a nay, one mujana marano ya marani one moody pa. Now was a weber son, I what the amount for fro, titi only one more mobile niagu one mushroom na jumbonian show, and the one with Timusa Tadria. wɔn de wɔn mpɛ sɛ ɔman no bɛkɔ so na nkamfansa ne yie yɔ atumi agyina ne nasoɔ no wɔsi aban no ɛbɔ mmɔden sɛ wɛn no nso wɔn mu ana wɔn mu a wɔn nam kuntun ase ɛto galamsey no Ghana mamra ɛne wɔn bɛdi.
Galamsey continues to cause incalculable damage to our forest reserves and water bodies. In the teeth of the difficulties prosecutors encounter in the courts in the prosecution of illegal mining offences, the criminal division has enjoyed some success, even though there is still room for more to be done. From August 2021 to date, at least 76 persons, including 18 foreigners, have been convicted. They include the acclaimed Chinese Galamsey Queen, Aisha Wan, who was convicted on 4th December 2023 of offenses committed between 2014 and 2016 in the era of the previous government. Most of the convicts were sentenced under the new law at 995 to a minimum of 15 years plus a hefty fine for a non-Ghanaian. Currently, over 140 minimum of 15 years plus a heavy fine in the case of a Ghanaian and a minimum of 20 years plus a fine for a non-Ghanaian. Currently, over 140 cases of illegal mining involving over 850 accused persons are being prosecuted in court in the Western, Eastern, Ashanti, Greater and Upper East regions of Ghana. Some are near conclusion. The unsung heroes of the Office of Attorney General are the Legislative Drafting Division. They are that army of well-disciplined, properly trained, meticulous lawyers whose task it is to set legislative framework for all we do. Without them, none of the three arms of government can function.
I was so worried. I by lawyer Penny. You were Godfred Yabuadame. I have free Ghana Bar Association 1 month and 70 Munaya concern for Fromo. Now, I'm not Ghana Man Penyaba, the chair doctor. Alhaji Mahmoud Bamiako Electoral Commission Kache, Yawadin and Kratakoma, one Mudia Dancia Pefe, Sir Waya Kradopa, one Namanyuku, Sir Afia Batrono, one of Suba Ginamono to Frank Hadiama NPP, Nafi, Ghana from Mobile to Abadia Mano, Afia Batoya, my Ghana Batunimu. Now, a Browadin and Kratawans and some, now what a choir, Yanono Kwana choir, one chief of staff, and then Pennyfa door, Yawamwa NPP Amayukun man and who can Nichochomucho, one so I can be. Na enam saya so ama titira de ma electoral commission ma me gen mensa ade atodwa a kyerese sane ode abere no wo mso ba na sa papa no makuche sane ba ya ne de be ko electoral commission won mo nkwa ngomem.
This morning we are here to kickstart one of the most important processes in the lead up to the 2024 general elections. Indeed, without this process, the Commission cannot run the election. And here I'm referring to the filing of nominations by presidential candidates who are seeking to contest the 2024 presidential election. Regulation 7 of CI 127 enjoins a presidential candidate to complete and sign 4 copies of the nomination forms. Additionally, the forms are to be signed by no less than 2 persons who are registered voters in the area of authority of each district assembly. By law, the Presidential Commission has developed a detailed checklist that embodies the criteria to be satisfied by presidential candidates as prescribed by law. The checklist will guide the scoring and awarding of marks by teams established by the Commission to scrutinize and review each nomination form submitted.
Ano achu no man panya be de so kasai adanman for your no mokwa nyina se sa wadoma se papa so mata na chi achigina pa na wo mkoso no mo no na fi NPP wo mu anya bakwasem.
All this I believe is in God's plans. Nothing really happens just by chance. I believe in life, the things that we do are ordered by God Almighty. And so I want to thank God Almighty for this morning, for the opportunity. And for me, it is personally a very historic opportunity to submit these forms for the first time as a presidential candidate. I want to pray and ask that we all pray for God's blessings for our dear country, Ghana. because we are embarked on this process, which is an election. And these are part of the processes towards the December 7th election. And we need God to continue to bless our country. What we are trying to do is to help uplift our country. We don't want to tear down our country. And so it's very important that our country is uplifted after the election.
I was away a Ghana Mampanya Bediache Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia. Na Anna Mampanya Dada, Yera John Dramani Mahama also so and Nkata Koma Electoral Commissioner Sara. Ya almost so Ajia Tum Sano Kwa. Why crowd of pass will be Jena Diama NDC Amanyokono fee. National Chairman Dema NDC Amanyokono Johnson Esiedun Ketia. Abra one more Electoral Commissioner Kachano and what deba to Joshua Sarah. Electoral Commissioner the Omunim ne dada. Nya fe no ba be hu no kra nam so nti wo mo sransa afia bato no wo ma ne yu nya ne yu no ma ne han anya ne han pa wo hwe no anya suma se dwade bia wo mekwa wie kire no de 5 for baba dan ne wo no sese kwa ba na sade a andi si amanyoko no wo mo nti ase.
Thank you very much all Ghanaians for their support so far. From our rounds, there are all indications that change is in the air. Sure. And so we just crave your indulgence to secure the peace of the country before, during, and after the elections. We wish to urge the Commission to also play their role as a neutral umpire. We have concerns about the process so far, and I believe we are engaging, and that is the purpose of the engagement, so that we can get mutual conclusions that are acceptable to everybody. But we are not going to sleep over our rights at all getting into these elections. And so we are hopeful that the Commission will listen to us very well and discharge their responsibilities in a manner that will be satisfactory to all participating parties.
I was away at the NDC or Johnson Esiedun Ketia. Now, or ya panel whatever to us what you say. I can see your money electoral commissioner could see a year no. Now when him sank abotoyemu baba electoral commissioner aba kansembi and the achra almost says water register no. Won kwa ye rioma troka won kwa wi akire. Na nipa ne binum kura po din nim omo din wo no so a emema pictures ne ade afenso so ye de nipa besa 3000 ne akire ya transfer wo mo free baby omo wo e de omo kwa baby foforo nyina no enko baba ka sempa bi de afa ho na so de omo so ye de na wo mo hwe no enya sa no mo saka ye enam sa ye so ntini wo mo sibiribi de akire Ghana fo se nyame ya dom obosom ye wo mo ye yi no ne de otoso dunso andi si amanyoko ne tiesi monten so no ye kire e de tia electoral commission.
You, the media people, were with some of our people who intercepted and retrieved one of the stolen DVDs. So far, we don't have any response. We don't have any feedback as to how the progress is being made on the case involving those who allegedly have been arrested here at your commission and so on. This all generates some amount of, cloud suspicion and all that. And so, those of you who have been asking us, if they don't comply, what would you do? This is your answer. On the 17th of this month, the NDC is embarking on.
I was your natural son, no, your son, you might die near one son. Why are you teaching the ma NDC Amanyokono or Johnson Esiedun Ketia? Na NDP NDC, one more one crata come electoral commission. Na afei, one more was show us one by prequantum Korania de, one should do about the animal chepa. Yaka say nipa baku and near barrier. Now our animals were back one mabunu, and your my mabunu dia or Monsaba to Miaka. I and another bedia koya don't want one man such a Wano ejina musa kwanten kura no aprema mpanyina dwa e wo ma Ghana emu na another dua wano so de nkrata akoma electoral commission saa eno na Ghana fo bi susu se anya we kura no nke wakọ na wasanka na running mate enke ehu no anase ye tene nka sansa wontumi matena akonya so medi mampanyin wa abra vice wonka ho na yewura akwa mbedi akon ne nsɛmtwerɛfo akasa ajase mo bia mana comment to kura sansa wono ba wo ba no waboa no ho na anche ebra no so a wobɛyi na bɛde akyire ama Ghanafo yeye mahye.
Thank Ghanaians and thank all of you for even witness this moment, but it's a historic moment. It's the first time people of our generation has stepped forward to be a part of this national governance. And I thank God to be one of the people who have started this whole movement, making sure that people of our age, people that belong to the youth sector, finally are part of this movement and national governance of this country. The campaign is good, and I must say that Ghanaians have been very much embracing. I am proud to be a Ghanaian, and I feel good to stand for the people of this nation. I know that we can build a better country by us, from us. And therefore, I want to say that it's not just going to take the campaign to make this, but it's going to take the people of this country to decide and make this a better place. I would when the time is right. Like you always know, we unveil. So don't worry. Keep waiting. When the mask comes off, you will see that one.
I was away a year, Nana Kwambedi Akonia Tin and Kanawano Jina, Sakwantan Krono Perman Penina Ja, I want my Ganamoya Chada, and Nayata Sabra. One of the Crata, you know, acquire and watch electoral commission Swajina Brano, one in Central for Ekasaye. Na Anyon Dr. Hassan na Ayaraga APC Amanyokuno and one of the Crata Aquasa. Afeora Samuel appear down kwa Yellow Ghana, Amanyokuno one penny pie or Dianimu, one also at the Biquaya, or George Chumberma Edu. One also Janasa Quantan Cranwa Preman Penina Jari B. Our Maganimu. Sampa in Foyina, no creature, one more electoral commission catch it. Ya ranimus Safia Batora dear, and Paye Bejapa, Ayatrawadrin, Namsumin Chramedie. Na Abra Wodomoncrata Quadru Yano, and na Yellow Ghana Amanyokuya. Or Samuel appear down kwa Dianimuno, one in Central for Abacasa at Churchimu, one of the Botaye and Nini Swadihu.
We've pulled a wonderful feat, and in the coming days, if God willing, we are on the ballot. There is no way we will not win this election. We have the strategy, we have the competence, and we have the organization. And like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, organization determines everything. And we believe that with what we are capable of, this is not beyond us. I know for most people, it's almost like we are going to pull the unexpected, but please be prepared for that. Thank you very much. Thank you. And kindly follow our campaign. It's going to be very exciting. Thank you.
I was away a Yellow Ghana Manyokono Panyipaya or Dianimu or Samuel appear down Quanon and watching Dr. Hassan Ayaraga. Yawa no APC Amanyokono or Dianimuno. One of the Nakata Kwasan was a rare was rada. I think Pimian Dunsia 2016 Wahunubio. What Nankata was say of a fat sire from your ma, a query electoral committee, Idia Shato, Wayne Dia Frim, was Rapa Safia Batuano. A Ghana for any done show. A Timon Quayana said 2016, the Anabaka Quayachre, now return some, none dear free.
2016 disqualification, I would see more of a personal disqualification than a technical disqualification. Because this is somebody who was contested in 2012 and filled the form himself and qualified. And in 2016, the disqualification was based on differences in the signature. And I wrote to Madame Charlotte then and told her that signatures were not rubber stamp, whereby you just stamp and have it perfectly. But people are bound to make some kind of curves in their signature. You can't use that to disqualify people. And as a matter of fact, I sent her 4 of different letters coming from her with different signatures from her own office. And I said, you can make the comparison. Yours is also not a rubber stamp. But then, what can we say? We accepted it that way. We went to court. We won the court case. And we were asked to go back and contest. And she insisted that we have to again do a new one. And I told her, you know what? let's forget it. We'll go 2020. So I think that, and you know what happened to her? She herself was booted out because of misappropriation of the EC's resources and many other allegations of misconduct. So I was actually vindicated by my statement against her. And that is why she's not Electoral Commissioner anymore, and we have a new one. And we are here to support any commissioner to make sure that Ghana is a better place for us.
I was sure where Dr. Hassan Ayaragano no APC Amanyoko no wana panyipa ya wodi anymore. Na LPG Amanyoko ya Yurakofi Akpalu. Wano so di anymore no ana wade krata kwai. Wade atudwa akyerese nyame ya dom. Na wababa tena akonya so a ensakra de. Ghana fo ebe hunu bi pa sanse wano wabɔ nneoma pii no abeda. Wo so wade beba amomanfo ani agye ho.
Na say your ban of na ye na get to say fine them say before the and yes LPG for so it also and I am file you know the documents will be aba it is be bia LPG you know we need election way say the piano because the candidate would know about myself I'm saying I really don't you tell me what you say I could be a one Ghana be a president they said they are bloated young Kolakano it's a could be a 500 be a 500 honest benefit will be a 1 year to 700 Ghana cities. The best is Kabakrum. That's okay. I'm not going to catch my day.
I was your way a LPG Amanyoko no panyipa ya wodi animu. Yerakofi Akpalu na asaminti yakwa ma no so. Na ene opanyikase yakwa akodi enkomo. Yera mu aju o Sompa so nie.
Yo mejo sumini aba.
Na wapo mu ye de.
Onya kofo na dumara kwa me hoye me se mu nyina so me hoye.
Nyame adom yenso ye hoye. Wa manyoko ri aka LPG anom age so sei.
Yen konkon a. Na yo pa ti mu.
Okay.
Ni age so me ha. Ne so me. Na yen konkon a.
Anti-LPG.
Yen konkon a.
LPG.
So me ha. Ne so me ha. Na yen konkon
a romantic o na Roma na to make Electoral Commission nim don krata kwama no we kire say afi yento so aba na ho hye ko say
no promini aba say ye ne to so ni ene we kan no yewura Dr. Baumia Dr. Baumia ne bi kan de koe and I yes, you're twasso a dear boy, your coin, Bibia, I said the Mobiano, the Mom, a year, tax certificate, a year, checks. I said the more 100,000, and also the Mawom, and young Pony, I said the council with the Mawom. And he said, Bibia, correct, forms also, you some from so I could cry uniform so. When you are to your bossy, a troy, come, Makumako, and 9, and the Mao, so all my Mubako say, Baku, the Fanko. And see, the day you be at it, I ain't come.
And now, where they were Rumo, Antatia and Sakaya one from Mamuchera were checking no, na and Sosika Botana, na Electoral Commission, and whatever matters, sir.
And the Pumani say, Emsa Branke now, or ye director of elections, or no, and I'm not a boom crew. Nansa Brofuna or Kane, Miakwana, Mikin, and I say, my auntie, the number of things. But they know Munina say, of a sort, say, check, ye never quite a boom. Say, 100,000 in a boba. A bank of one say Bank of Ghana and China. So much team at the Maya.
Okay.
It's no much team 30,000 miensa na 10,000 back. Some of us okay. And decided to query. It is Canada so quite easy to come and trata.
I fed your Matthias, you more da ho. Sunny and Nana Maboncheno, never cried to Chinya Shokakra. Sir LPG, Anka Sankasa Pabe to me this head, Jumano, and Uchi Bisa one. Now, Mamero, Yenim, sir, a BBM one, Yawa Hawka Crow home. Ebia obi na kwa ya wa hunu bia wo de okwa obetimi ehunu say electoral commission say no wa yanka msusu say ko ye ne say yanka bebo wadawro ma ebra mo koduru ye no mo ne twa bibi so ya mo sa sankan sakra ye tumi abamu asane ato aba no a anka bebo NDC de o mu gina say voter register no a ye de to aba no eno mu say ensakra ya ba bi a anka bebo na ye nim say bia mo so mo de no ma hunu bibi a e wo say isi ye hu bibi a.
Oh, Sabria make us say there. Me try say me who bibia e yem from so you see you me dia omudi no. Nemo you see no ade achi ade sabia no. Who so mu dwumadi no omudi no omo e konkan. Omo improve because ebe etemu no na obi nim time or dey nin krata akwa be ko electoral commission. And then yisi for Ankana obiade ndi be koneno na obia ni se mekosa abewu because so medika afre ni atenase ama omo ama ya ni ya ka chi omo ebre potia ebetimi de enkrata no aba eti no ene no ye ni ede koye no we no mo tenase mo ma ye bra obiade ni tina ofia ya dr ba omo de de call 9 o'clock and na yeso de call 9:30 ena omo maka no de eto to aso etina etenka ni akopɛ ena oka so bitumi ndi akɔkyena ba yisifo no atrɛ nipa no sɛ ɔmfa no de ne eka nkwada fo de no na omo baba nkwada no ɔmfa omo de nda nti no mbi sɛ omo dwumadie no puntu abam omo kɔ mani na minuanom NDC fo no omo hawo na omo ka ne de sabio omo fu sɛ ye ne obi ma wo mo a o ma so mbadwu wo mo a ye LPG ye ye for so say the NDC for hwe no yiti for enyama wo mo na sabio ye nkoto ye na asumdi emra esan say o mo se o mo pese o mo nya obi ma ne hwehwemu wo ye si nkrata ni mu a me hu de ti a ye say ye yiti for no eden say o say nipa na akofo mo no ebe sika say sika no metua no NDC for na wo abam omni MPP for na wo abam ti a ji Ghana sika na wo mu yinu nsam eti so metwa bia ma o say NDC for monje na mo fanya hwehwemu a say na be asumbi be ba me fo aso there's nothing wrong with that.
So opanyeka se ye hwe ne say ya tatis ankrankran na amanyoko awodo no wo mo mpa so mo prema mpanyina dwa no keka bom wa ye ba 32 ani akirei amenimu na wo mu o ana wonim sane sitie etesa 32 no na afei wo de no to nkyan a entumi nyansunsanso bi ewo LPG so se bia afei maboa mo ho sanka mo ba ba gima mpanyina dwa no matena so na nipa ante se ena e ba ba priye
oh nyansunsanso bia wo ye so de ti nyansunsanso enyansunsanso wa MPP so
okay
nyansunsanso wa NDC so so na party nkae ni na me yo say ebenya nsunsanso bia that so mu nyina aye Ghana adehye omu ewo kwanya se omba gina ne ato mo so aba eti no se nipa ne kwa ye 200 a untimi nsi obi akwan so far say nipa no qualify no ena abato na ebeto ne de obia benya obia na to ba ma no minu aba se nyame adom na unya 40 years na wo kondo se obegina nya kukuduro ne gina go uni money for me to ba ma obi a betima to ba ma eti membu ho abonfia eti omo amadi garo
okay die na nkrofo ani kire ho pa ye balloting no ho no se nipa 32 no wa kire nko bia na wakosha be se 13 ho ba bia fe na no obi ba ba hwehwe wo a akoto ade ama wo
eno de alanchira matene chada ne nkofo no Omo na be hwe omo ase o. Say the ten say. Ye ba ni e ballot na. Political party na e ballot o so. Eti ye ba to political party ni wi a. Na fe di independent na ai de atwa so. Eti independent for no. Omo na say omo doso. Eti omo no be separate ballot.
Okay.
Eti omo de omo to ase ho no me dia. Ene na di ayo.
That's a ballot in the crowd. They won't slow me, boy.
There be parties in a 12.
Okay.
12, no. This year, no, I'm saying a move 4. No, 5. Okay. And now filing there.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, you say CPP, PNC, PPP. Me, my make don't call GSP. And NDP, me on my penny that Rollins with it, Nanako party. Almost and a GSP than Latin party. Almost about filing to a mono. Not said by Friday on file, and the first, 10 as a 12, you bring one about.
Oh, okay.
A woman Canadian, independent for among me, I tell you, also I have from Bosso. The Brena, Omo file libida. The filing of obey mistakes. And we are mistake at Traby. He's in about talking. It is a one found contempt. Said the any kind of the I said, only contempt.
Okay.
And from so much, on my 2 address.
So no credit.
That's a tempana opposite in Adia. Oh, now train money for your last day, not the Kodia. Maybe I know where now, Quinami.
Okay. You're right. There was no brand or that. Yeah, watch it and say, Mamma, and near the one. I'm sure why.
I'm sure so.
I mean,
they are to Mamma Kutia president. Now, you bet Chiancolani in Aka.
Okay.
But some be able to acquire your than a Biaka 500, a 5 million.
Yeah, that's it. I'm coming in himself to have repam. Yabasan what the BM. I was your way up on your pa. Ya LPG, I want your corner some ha. Na some ha wadano. Oracle fee akpalu. 21st clinic, yes, Siataka expert, papa. I was saying Canada, so Siataka Yadiano. How I tell among what shall number mu munina tititi do. Shall say about 21st clinic in China Rocota for help. Your bunches in the door so 15 and your tree. Fair was 0540 311 311 0540 311 311 3 Herbal Center at the 3 core capsules. Quaco Master Drono at the account. It me quaco Sia dear and a fay I am Tim. Wako Qualena Herba and Herba Misty Herba. I be said dupa, natural dupas and so when a one of the form national show a drone on Juma dear Edino. I brought Janet Yasia 0546 107 107 05 46 107 107. So what park one to a more for two somewhere. Shasa with the moon some crocodile express group. One bab war palm what to me a call or no man what all. I heard a person for Canada. US, UK, New Zealand, Germany, Holland. Then you know no express Jobako. Kumasi was a full runabout. And crab when you were Kaneshi first light from Panyufway 0249 00 04 48 00 04 48 Mizo and 5G so atayachi. When your son no dear be a bow amohoden and your pumde pa. I was your manager done your one more to a show overseas junction 21st hall or Benya Binuato and our fray 0246 270221 0246 270221. Ya jana so ya dan hotel ya ba ya catch you know. It better.
21st clinic a sciatica expert sciatica no o nerves na wo to ase na fa wo siremu na fa wo nansia besi ase ho no se ho techema eno ene ye fa ne sciatica na etimi bubu o to ase ka wo se dwe wo sirem wo je ho ba bia enye na eno na 21st clinic ba ye adwuma pa wo mu ye nti abaso bo magine wo Ghana ha ene amono ne enyasem ketewa Womuji international awards ahodo womuji local awards ahodo na anu nso na womu be the only sciatica research and treatment center in Africa bibrim hano ebi ni baby a gise 21st clinic nkoa womu de bibiduro ene besa o yare no masa de machine aka ho yare sabia yare bia wutimi de ko ne mama ade ba ko a wo magidi womu pa no sciatica ena stroke nso de kwa diabetes ne hypertension ne ade Ghana ha ba bia womu ho 0540 311 311 0540 311 311. There's a 21st clinic. Woman is sciatica.
Sompa TV, Emma Aketiapa.
Amakatua Pampa Russia Damwasaya Toa and some so Professor Stephen Adair and Canon were teaching in the National Development Planning Commission and what it to draw Atrasa Asantimera. Euro 2 to 2 year water sumienu ya wadene nasi from Parasa Asantimemu Galamsa once and some yabet me to a said the Kuda Conference. Nanan Mayim for be ya one mutia ni mu Amia to Galawa however to a munina dear Suano was say wa bomadi wompa na reno crampo bet to me aboa amomari yensu ansu ane yakwa bretuo no a nipa benum na masie pese wo mo san wo no sade ne nyina ya tumi atoase wora sansem wa nyina to dwa wo dwumade sonko bia na ekoso DVLA wanu mo ehia mudie ne dwumade bia na omudie enanam so ma ora Stephen Adair wode asemi ekotu dwase.
Galamsey free zone. Currently, I hope Otumfuo Asantehene in his sterling leadership will not stop at distilling few chiefs, for the problem is widespread. I'm looking forward to the day when he will declare Asanteman Galamsey free zone. Currently, I leave my house is a few yards, meters. That shows yards means how young I am. A few meters from the Jimmy River. The Jimmy River is the one that supplies water to the whole of metropolitan Obuasi.
I was sure where I connected to the National Development Planning Commission, Professor Stephen Adair Yatanen Canon. Now, the Madios Runkobi Akoso, our Omayimuhera 2024 stakeholders roundtable, and Akoso Yapany Control for your Ghana National Gas Company, and Dr. Benasante Adiatu Ja Atras Ohemwa. Wamano Yasid in one word, then what done then you not take off from Nema Dollar Nina, who are there for Frokra Ponoka Hubi, and Ama and Ne or Mine Wankasano, Yenama who are there no, and your ma area to Tia Propan Samsa was a Ghana buying it to me in Nasi from near Ramon Ye, acquire Sika Samera Fasu about to Tonua. Ghana said now what they know Eberson Swabby.
Power value chain so the power balance gas the contribution 25%, but the 25% will represent almost $100 million. And I know you're a because you pay $400 million and also Ministry of Finance about half of the gas bill. But still, they are collected at the end of the day.
And what you know, our Minister for Public Enterprise, Ora Joseph Kuju, one so Arakakra Etwaso.
Ghana gas, the level is in na economy so companies are Ghana gas so but because the ECG Ghana gas, IPS gas, no more than my electricity. Now you see it in the canal. Ghana gas operations. Yes, I'm saying, private companies in this economy, they have pressure there. More amount of service, simple. With the airtime need data. An example. It's a Ghana for and for say my airtime, my data. And they are the antenna. I use electricity.
was your warrior minister for public enterprise, or Joseph Kujo, and I at Sending Canary. The other was so young, picture a hand or ejina. Now I done something in a see, I said, I caught your ma. Cocoa Veronica Jando. Ya Grace, I could see some more boozy. And I am some for Penny or Ross until your boy Benedict. Most one button a second kind, send me them out.